So it is about 6:45 here, and I'm just having a tea and a snack before heading over to the park to shoot some sunrise photos with my Canon A-1. I'm gonna be using Kodak Gold 200, which is what I've been sticking with while I learn film photography. I know a few of you gave that advice to stick with one film stock, so that's what I'm doing. And yeah, the sunrise is supposed to be around 7:30 now, I think. So hopefully we make it there in time. I've never tried to shoot that sort of lighting intentionally, and definitely not at this park that we're going to, so I'm really excited. But it's gonna be a very cold day today, so I'm also curious to see how the Canon A-1 holds up, because I have read some stuff about it not doing the best in cold weather. So I guess we'll see about that as well. But yeah, let's get going.
Holy shit.
All right, so we made it to the park, and as you saw on the drive, the sky looked incredible. So I wish I'd been here 10 minutes early to catch that, but the drive was only about 8 to 10 minutes, so I still was able to get the sunrise, and the sky still looked really pretty when I got here. Right off the bat, I decided to take this picture of this little house at the entrance of the park, and I really like the way this came out. I did crop in a little bit from my original image, but I love how the house is kind of nestled between these winter trees with all their branches, and you see the sort of pink colors of the sky still, and then people, driving to work over on the road to the side there. So I think this was a pretty good picture for our first one of the day. So I continued making my way down the path into the park, and I noticed this very cute sort of garden tool shed. And so I came up to take a picture of it, and this is what came out. I like the perspective of it, like I'm sort of secretly peeking in and looking at this shed, and I like the way it's enclosed by this fence. The only thing, I feel like it's a little bit blurry towards the front of the shed, like the door area, the doorway. And I'm not sure if I missed focus somehow. I forgot to mention I was also using aperture priority mode for the entirety of this shoot. So I was trying to pay attention to the way shutter speed was being selected by the camera. Some of the shots I didn't really pay as much attention as I should have, but I'm not sure if that had anything to do with this at all. So I was pretty happy with those first two pictures right off the bat. And then I decided to get a little closer to the first house that I had photographed, and I noticed this wreath on the side of the building, so I took a picture of that one. I don't love this one. I'm not sure what it is about it that I don't like. Maybe the composition. Okay, so now we made it into the actual park. So there's this beautiful section of rolling hills, and I always refer to it as a prairie because that's what it reminds me of. Very quickly, I noticed these two bird houses in the middle of the grass field. So I took this image, and I really like this one a lot. I think the colors are so beautiful. You have the yellows and browns and everything in between, and the green of the trees in the back. Yeah, I really like how this one came out. I'm not sure if it's a perfect picture, but something about it, I don't know, what do y'all think? The only thing about it that I would maybe say I don't love is the section over to the left, where obviously I have this grass in front of me, so some of it is blurred and out of focus as I'm shooting the birdhouses, but it's kind of extends really high up, and I'm not sure if that's something that I ruined in the exposure itself, or if it is just the grass kind of creeping up really high on the left. Almost immediately afterwards, I decided to take a close-up of one of the plants, and I really like this. I think the colors of the prairie were just so beautiful. I wasn't really expecting it. I almost didn't remember having been there in the winter time. It kind of reminds me of a painting, and you'll probably hear me say this throughout as we look at more pictures that I took. I keep being surprised with this camera at the close-up images that I'm able to take. And granted, I'm not incredibly close up here, but I think it still looks really pretty. Once I made it up this small hill, I turned around to get a picture of the path I had been walking on, and this is what I got. I love this one as well. Again, the different colors of the grass on the field, the yellows and browns and even some reds in there, and then the green forest in the background. The sky still has a little bit of like a pink hue from the sunrise. And then the path itself, you can tell it's usually a dirt, sort of red clay path, but you can tell that it's icy. And that's something that I wish I had captured the sound effect of it, because as I was walking down this path, you could hear like the crunching of the floor as the ice sort of gave. And it wasn't incredibly icy. I mean, I wasn't slipping around or anything, but it was very unique. And I think it adds another dimension to this picture. I don't know, I just love it. Around that area, I noticed a walking path into the field. And this is normal because we have birdhouses all throughout the field, and so people will come in to, service the bird feeders. So I decided to get closer, not too close. I didn't want to disturb anything. This is one that I don't really mind. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It seems a little bit boring. I think maybe if the background had something a bit more interesting, I would like it a little more, but I do like the sort of pinkish hue of the sky like we talked about. This would have been really cool if there was a bird perched right on top of it, but that would have been very hard with how close I got. Okay, so here I had a little freak out because I noticed that my camera was sweating and there was like water, it seemed like, right along the edge of, the film door, I guess. And so my initial thought was, oh my gosh, my camera is leaking. My film is leaking. I don't know if that's even a thing. And then I finally realized that it's just so cold out that every time I put the camera up to my face, me breathing through my nose was causing a little bit of condensation. So for the remainder of the shoot, I was just constantly wiping that, make sure that my condensation was not getting into the camera. Here I crouched down to get a close-up of the ice, or frost, I guess you could say. And I really like how this one came out. It's so simple. I like how I composed the image, and I love the colors of it, but also the frost on the leaves. I think it's such a nice touch, and yeah, I don't know, it looks really nice. I'm glad that I noticed this and I was able to get a picture of it. Here you can see this section doesn't have as much ice on the floor since it's mostly clay, but I was able to get this picture. I like the lonely bench over in the bottom left corner, and then the path leading down into the prairie and over into the forests or the woods in the horizon. I think this one it starts to kind of feel like a painting, which, to be honest, that's how I felt when I was there. The whole time I was shooting in this section of the trail, I just felt like I was in a painting. It was just absolutely beautiful. Here you can see me wiping away the condensation again. I really did do this pretty much the entirety of my walk. So just a little bit further ahead, I came to this sort of bend in the trail. This one came out a little bit darker than I'd hoped. I feel like, the sky is properly exposed and so is the foreground, but there's a lot of darkness in the image. It's maybe not as clear. The forest isn't as clear. And again, this could be me just needing to learn how to edit. I did very minimal edits on all of these pictures. I'm nowhere near a professional, so there's very minimal editing. But I still like it. I like the bend in the path, and you can see, I wish it was a little bit clearer, but you can see how the path bends over to the left and continues out of frame. And the colors, again, just feel like I'm in that painting. So that part of it I do like. But all in all, I don't think I love this picture. We're gonna come up on another birdhouse here, except this one has the sunrise behind it. I got a little bit closer, and I think this one came out pretty good. It does feel a little bit dark. Of course, the sun is behind, so I guess it makes sense that the front would be more silhouette. I'm not sure if this is technically a good picture. I'm trying not to be too concerned with what's technically good. Of course, I'm learning composition and framing and the different elements that go into a good picture. I'm trying to be more intentional about those things, but I'm also just trying to take pictures that I feel look beautiful, and this was one of them. But then there's also a little bit extra grass, I think, in front of the lens over the top right corner. You see, it looks almost like a visual disturbance, and the top left corner too. And I think it's just the grasses that were right in front of me as I was taking this picture, which I kind of like, but I kind of don't. I'm not sure. I don't know what y'all think about this one. So after that prairie that we were on, the trail ventures into this wooded area, and it's very common to see deer here. So I was on the lookout. I was so excited to maybe possibly get a picture. And then as I was coming up over in this section, I noticed one in the distance and I snapped this so fast. I'm surprised that it's in focus. I didn't even pay attention to my shutter speed since I had it in aperture priority mode, like I said. I mean, this picture it's not great, but let me just zoom in for a second so you can see. There's the deer. This was not a great picture. I'm still happy that I took it, I think mainly because it was so exciting in the moment. Every time I see wildlife, I am like a little kid. I'm just so giddy. I love it so much. And so the fact that I got him as he was walking in between the trees, I was so proud of myself. I was like, man, this is awesome. So overall, I'm gonna call that a win. Here I noticed some moss on these trees and this sort of fallen branches or fallen tree trunks. And I wanted to take a picture of it because we don't really see a lot of moss down here where I live. And I got this. I think the colors of the moss and the textures look really cool. Overall, not sure if I love this picture, but I'm not unhappy about it. It looks kind of nice. It looks like an A, the way it's framed. And you see little pockets of the green moss kind of like throughout the leaves on the floor as well. So kind of cool. I tried to check how many exposures I had left, and I wanted to take a picture of the trees because this section of the forest, these trees are very thin, but there's so many of them so close together. And I thought that would make for a really interesting picture. And unfortunately, I was at my last shot. So next time I'll be sure to get one.
Okay, I ran out of film. I only had one roll, so it's okay. I had to head back to the car anyway because it was freezing cold today. I don't know if you can see that, but it's really cold. So I headed back to the car now. Look at how pretty this tree is. I wanted to try to get a picture of it, but